All right. What is up, guys? Making sure my lighting's good. All right. Welcome into the stream. Thank you guys for coming in. Let me make sure. I had to handle some technical difficulties while we were counting down here, man. So it was literally last minute where everything kind of came together. But let me see what we got here. Cool. All right, man. Chats are open. Happy to see y'all. Think we're good to go. Yeah, we're straight, man. Welcome to the stream. Kind of miss you guys for a bit, man. I had some stuff to take care of over the past week or two, and you guys have been rocking with me the long way. Appreciate that. And if this is your first time here, man, I'm your host, Jay. The YouTube channel is called Trippin with Jay. And what we do here mainly is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do live streams. And also on Saturdays, we do live reactions to travel videos as well from other YouTubers in the travel sphere. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do live streams primarily on travel news when it's Tuesday. And on Thursdays, we typically have a pretty good topic to speak about. It could just be about travel as a whole, or it could be about how do you travel as a normal person, because it's extremely difficult to travel nowadays with inflation and stagnant wages, and you need a little bit of a vacation. You got to figure out how to do that with your budget, and I think that's what we're going to talk about on Thursday. So stay tuned for that. And it looks like if you like that type of content, guys, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's very much appreciated. And we are streaming on multiple platforms. I think 5 in total. We are on Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Facebook all at the same time. So you guys can catch me there. And all of the links to support the channel are in the description box below, including the new merch, man, the super soft shirts here, the very high quality shirts available at trippinwithjay.com. So let's go ahead and do a screen share. And it doesn't look like we have too much that have changed. That's changed over the past week or so, man. We had, of course, Mexico. I covered that last week, and nothing's been added so far. So apparently the world is at peace, at least with the U.S. But I like that they added like an interactive map for the entire world, where you can actually go all around the world and see where you probably shouldn't travel to. And wow, so the red, they just had a meeting with Putin the other day, right? Why is it still red? I thought they dapped it up and they were cool. Okay, so regardless of that, guys, I wanted to move on to the first story, and it's about the train that got stuck in Chicago. Let me see if I can find it really quickly here. We got a story from ABC7 Chicago. Shout out to them. And apparently they lost power, right? They lost air conditioning. It's summer right now, if you guys didn't know, in the Midwest, and it gets extremely humid and hot in the Midwest. So them having no AC for 15 hours. I heard on the street that they had like a situation in the bathrooms, similar to if you guys watched the Netflix The Poop Cruise. So let me give you guys a little bit of a frame of reference. So essentially, this cruise ship, and this is on Netflix. You guys can go watch it for yourselves. So essentially, they lost all power and lost the ability to flush the toilet, and they couldn't use the toilets, and they had to use the restroom inside of a bag, a number 2 in the bag, bro. So essentially, the same thing happened to this Amtrak train going from Detroit to Chicago, and I find it kind of funny. That's why I want to cover it. I haven't really heard anything more than that, but I thought it was kind of like low-key hilarious. So let's go ahead and find out if there are any similarities to the series on Netflix, man, The Poop Cruise. Let's watch. Or not. Hold on for 1 second to make sure the audio is good. Let me make sure. Okay, we should be straight.
And Alan and Cheryl, in fact, it was supposed to take 5 hours, but it was definitely far from that. Passengers on board that train from Pontiac, Michigan to here in Chicago told me that for hours they were without electricity, they were without water, they were without working bathrooms or food, turning that 5-hour original trip into a 19 ordeal for many of them.
19, bro.
Jake Tobias and Melissa Bering from the Detroit area had a big trip planned to Chicago Friday night, boarding their Amtrak train in Royal Oak, Michigan early that morning.
It was set up to leave at 6 in the morning, roughly, and get in around 10:30 local time in Chicago.
But the 5-hour journey turned into an all-day ordeal. Amtrak said the train had a mechanical issue and stopped west of Ann Arbor to couple with another train. Passengers on board said that was only the beginning.
Within the first hour, they ran out of water. There was no water for anybody to drink.
They were calling engineering crews, hoping to get some power restored.
But power was never restored for the rest of their ride. Amtrak said a medical issue forced another delay, and when the train got to Hammond, Indiana, the couple said they received another frustrating announcement from Amtrak crews.
They said, our workers have hit their hourly limit. We're going to have to wait for a new crew.
That's when Melissa, Jake, and dozens of other passengers took the matter into their own hands.
We jumped off the train. We were followed some other people through the woods. We hopped a fence. We waited by the side of the road, tried to get an Uber.
Oh, yeah, on the freeway.
On the freeway.
Yo, they had to go through the woods. It's crazy, bro. At least they had a way out. On the cruise ship, there's no way out. You can't just like take a private ship somewhere. But they were going through the freaking trees and stuff.
I really
crazy.
think that they need a plan to get people off of those trains when they don't function and move them to their destination.
In a statement tonight, a spokesperson for Amtrak tells ABC7 in part, quote, "We began contacting customers from both trains over the weekend to repeat our apologies and offer them refunds or transportation credit for a future trip at their option." Passengers we spoke with say while that compensation is nice, the question they have for Amtrak tonight, what about the plans that were either rescheduled or canceled?
Right. You gotta reimburse your passengers if you offer a transportation service, if the service happens to be delayed or canceled, or even worse, you're part of the number 2 train here. So it's crazy, bro. Crazy, bro. And they covered it. I'm actually from Michigan, so that's why I also picked this story. And yeah, they pretty much covered it in the video, so I don't have to go over to the article here. But I wanted to also take a look at this Boeing airplane, bro, that just started spitting fire. Did y'all see this? It started spitting fire mid-air. This is crazy. Like, look at this. Bro, whoever got this photo here, crazy, bro. Just imagine like you're on a flight and like the freaking engine starts catching on fire like this. This is crazy. Like, what has been going on with these airplanes, especially Boeing, right? They've had a lot of crashes this year and a lot of malfunctions, planes tipping over and flipping over. What's going on with these airplanes, bro? Especially Boeing. Boeing, their stock should be in the toilet by now, bro. Do not like puts. You should make some puts on Boeing, bro, because it's going to go down in the stock price. But this is crazy. Let's continue. Yeah, multiple safety incidents in months. Tragedy sparks safety fears. Boeing's troubles mount worldwide. It's crazy, bro. A Condor Airlines flight made an emergency landing in Italy after the engines burst into flames. The Boeing 757 with 273 passengers and 8 crew was flying from, what is that? I don't know, Cordo to Dusseldorf at 36,000. Wow, bro, that's at cruising altitude, 36,000 feet. The aircraft suffered a turbine airflow disruption, causing the engine to ignite. Bro, 36,000 feet, you're pretty much damn near above the clouds. It's not like it's happening right at when you depart and when you lift off. That shit is in the air already, like damn near halfway through the flight, bro. They are cruising altitude. Wow. I will be freaking out, man. Passengers reported seeing flames shooting from the right wing just after 8 p.m. local time. This is wild, bro. Almost make you scared to fly, man. But people still gonna fly. Boeing continues to face safety scrutiny after a string of engine fires and emergency landings. It's a problem, bro. Boeing is a problem right now. Okay, so it says, oh, they're showing more news. So Delta Boeing 767 makes emergency landing in Los Angeles after engine catches fire. FAA opens investigation, and this happened on July 18th. That was what? A month ago? That was a month ago? It just seems like Boeing has been held accountable for like past issues like this in court, but they are known to cut corners when they make their planes, and also maintenance sometimes also lacks, which could also lead to stuff like this happening. So something has to change, bro. It has to, the safety has to increase. That's wild, man. American Airlines Boeing 737 aborts takeoff after tire catches fire in Denver. Passengers evacuated, bro. And that's on July 26th, so that's less than a month ago. Bruh. The incident sparked fire and smoke, forcing 173 passengers and 6 crew to evacuate on the runway. Freaking wow, bro. Oh, we covered this already, bro. The Air India. Oh, it's so tragic, man. And the worst thing about like these corporations, these companies that deal with and create products like this, they don't even look as like human casualties as human beings. They just count them as numbers or something that's much more insignificant than human lives, bro. Because one lost human life, when it comes to safety like this, it should be an outcry. Like Boeing should go out of business if even one person perishes while they're using their airplanes. This is wild, bro. Like, why isn't Boeing being for real being held accountable? Like billions of people billions of dollars should be fined to the company, or they should just shut down and somehow just regroup or redo this stuff, bro. Like they have to find out what the hell is going on with these planes, especially Boeing. Airbus, not so much. Airbus is cool though. This was so tragic, man. Okay, so they're just gonna show this over and over again. Yeah. I don't want to keep seeing that. Yeah, man. What's going on with Boeing, bro? Boeing, shut it down. Shut it down, Boeing. Shut it down. They have another. Dog, you can hear it. Y'all hear that? Bro, if you can hear it from the ground, imagine what that sounds like when you're on the actual airplane. Bruh, wild. All right, we have 2 more stories to cover. We got another one. This one's not so new, but it's something that I kind of looked at a little earlier today. the U.S. is trying to, or the U.S. is implementing a new $250 visa integrity fee. And apparently, depending on what country you live in, you got to pay that. So let's find out.
Depending on which country you're coming from and the reason you're going, if you're going to the US, be prepared. It could cost you an extra $250. It's called the Visa Integrity Fee.
Bruh.
It's baked into
Who
the
gave him a
so-called
bill?
Big, beautiful bill. It's for all visitors who need a non.
So let me try to read it in an American accent because I his accent's pretty hilarious. But the Secretary of Homeland Security shall require the payment of a fee equal to the amount specified in this subsection, if I can read today, by any alien issued a non-immigrant visa at the time of such issuance. $250 to visit the USA is crazy, bro.
Non-immigrant visa. So let's be clear, we're not talking about tourists or business travelers under visa waiver, which is most of the EU countries. But if you're going on a student or you're from a country that requires a visa, you pay the fee. And the Trump administration says you may get it back if you're a good visitor. But it's a may, and no one's quite clear how that will actually work. The chief executive of the U.S. Travel Association, Jeff Freeman, joins me from Washington. Jeff, this is the last thing you needed, isn't it, eh? The absolute last thing you need. 11 million visas a year are issued for non-immigrant purposes to come and visit the United States. And now there's a $250 fee.
Yeah, Richard, if we didn't have enough problems getting international visitors to the United States, we've just made it more difficult with this deterrence fee. I mean, this is a fee, a junk fee that would make Ticketmaster blush. We are going overboard right now in discouraging people from coming. And make no mistake who these visitors are. These are visitors from Brazil, from Argentina, for other parts of South America, from parts around the world where visas are required. We've just added $1,000 for a family of 4 who otherwise would have spent that money at small businesses. They otherwise would have spent that money in the U.S. economy. And instead, they're giving it over to the government in some cynical way to reduce the American deficit. It's extremely disappointing.
But you get it back, right?
And I also loved it. I've got the rule here. I'm sure you've read it in its original words as well. It says the secretary may provide a reimbursement.
There's
no given about it. And you've got to prove that you were a good,
bro.
You've got to leave on time, etc., etc.
Bro,
and only then
may
you get it back. And by all accounts,
May.
Bruh.
That's crazy, bro. Imagine taking a family of 4 to the USA and you got to pay $250 per head, like per family member that you're taking to the US from like a Brazil or Mexico or whatever. And it's a may if you get that money back. I wonder what stipulates them saying, yes, you get this back. Or if you're like, nah, the U.S. is keeping that grand, bro. You go back to your country and we're keeping your money.
there's no process in place to actually reimburse.
Wow. What is this, bro?
Let's understand what happened here. This was not a thoughtful exercise. We had this bill go through Congress. They needed to come up with new forms of revenue. And somebody thought it would be a good idea to tax foreign travelers coming into the country. Already, we are not back to pre-pandemic numbers when it comes to visitors to the United States. These are people that want to come for the World Cup. They want to come for America's 250th birthday. They want to come for the Olympics in 2028. The biggest deterrent to visiting the United States right now is cost. And somebody in Congress thought it would be a good idea to increase those costs. I couldn't think of a more imbecilic thing for us to be doing right now.
Damn,
Jeff, I know it's a tricky issue and people don't want to be sort of criticizing policies. I'm aware of it. I get it. But the numbers are starting to weaken quite considerably inbound. Yes, we can massage them in the summer and they're looking a little bit better because people will come. But by and large, when I say people are shunning the United States, you know what I mean. People are starting to say it's simply not worth the trouble or now the expense.
Yeah.
I think we have an interesting dynamic going on with travel to the United States. We have some markets that are down. We've seen that in Western Europe. We've certainly seen it in Canada. We have other markets that are up. Mexico is up 15%. So I don't think you can paint it with a wide brush here as to what's happening. There are a lot of people that want to come to the United States. The United States remains the world's most desired nation to visit, according to all the surveys. But you're right, Richard, that in some markets around the world, they're not traveling to the U.S. in the numbers they used to.
A good statistic here. So it says the highest decline in arrivals, the largest on this list is Ecuador, which is understandable. South Korea is actually pretty surprising. I didn't think South Korea would be on that list. You would think that people will want to visit places like South Korea. I can see why China would be. I can see why India would be. Australia is a surprise. Netherlands, yeah. Poland, France. I thought people love going to France, man. It's crazy. Highest decline in arrivals. I wonder what year it is. It's probably 2024.
Let alone the numbers we aspire to get to. We've got to make sure the U.S. is welcoming. We let people know what our policies are, what our procedures are. We've got to remove unnecessary fees, not add them. Heck, when it comes to visas, we're now charging people to wait 100, 200, 300 days just to get an interview for a visa.
Wow.
It's these types of obstacles we have to remove
true.
to make the U.S. competitive. I'll say this, the White House has been outspoken about making the World Cup a success, about making the Olympics a success. In this instance, the problem did not come from the White House. This was an imbecilic approach by somebody in Congress who thought it would be a good idea to create some new form of revenue on the backs of the people who want to do nothing more than support the U.S. economy.
Well, no doubt where you're standing on this, and we're grateful to have had you on the program tonight, and we'll talk more. It's always good to see you, sir.
Okay, yeah. So what apparently, yeah, that's very true. So what he was saying is that the visa interview process, or at least like the amount of time you have to wait as a foreigner, is about a 200-day lead time on that, because the friends that I have that are Mexican that I speak to about this type of stuff, like these topics, they're like, yeah, I would love to come visit you in Vegas, Jay, but I still got to have my visa interview. And I'm like, okay, when did you first apply? They're like, 2023. I'm like, what?
Bruh.
And they still haven't had it yet. And for them to add an additional barrier to entry to the U.S. with this $250 visa fee, I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot, because travel to the U.S. from foreign countries, it's at an all-time low. So for them to put an additional barrier to entry to the U.S., it's going to potentially have our amount of visitors decline even more. So I don't know about this either, man. This is honestly not a good idea. If they're going to do like a visa fee, I think it should be a little bit less money. I would say like make it $50. I'm making something that's more palatable than $250, because I know Hispanic families may bring like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 family members to the U.S. once their visas get taken care of. And if they pay $250 per person, they are going to be spending a lot of money. And then when they get to the USA, they come to Vegas, for instance, or LA. They come to LA and they figure out that Ubers are $100 just to get to Hollywood from the airport, from LAX, or they come to Las Vegas. They look at the resort fees at Las Vegas cost damn near more than the actual night, like per night stay at their hotel. Once they come here and they see that they're getting nickeled and dimed coming in, staying, and when they leave, because they may not get this money back when they leave the U.S., I will be like, bro, I will not come back to the U.S. if I was a foreign national, right? I will be like, yo, this is crazy. I might as well just stay in my home country and watch these events, watch the World Cup, watch the Olympics on TV. I'm not going to come to the U.S. to come see it in person. It's just that cost prohibitive. I would just rather go to a nicer spot in my own country, watch these events at a nicer hotel and pay less money and have the same experience with my family. there is no incentive to come to the U.S. anymore unless you are dead set on seeing these events in person. If I was a foreign national, I would not do it. I just simply wouldn't do it. It's $250 per person is just way too much money. On top of waiting almost more than a year for a visa interview to even be granted access into the U.S., that's crazy, bro. Crazy, crazy. That's an L for the U.S. government. Okay. Enough of me ranting. Let's go to the main story, which I haven't done too much research on, but it's quite important, man. This is Canada's largest airline carrier. It's Air Canada. So they are, I think this is from 4 days ago. So we'll watch the one before they did they canceled the strike or got rid of the strike, because I want to know why they initially started the strike, and I want to know the reasons why they ended the strike. So this is a video from CBS News that I want to watch and kind of like digest a little bit. Let's go.
Air Canada is already grounding dozens of flights as it braces for a potential
Hey, is that my doppelganger or what, bro?
full strike by its flight attendants.
Nah.
They're threatening to walk off the job tomorrow. Now, that would effectively strand more than 100,000 passengers per day.
Damn.
Backing the flight attendants say the
Per
main
day.
sticking points are what they call poverty wages and unpaid labor. when
Poverty
planes aren't in
wages is
the air.
crazy.
The airline says it offered a fair 38% pay increase over 4 years. Ali Chiasson is a reporter with CBC Toronto, and she joins us now from the Toronto airport there in Ontario. Good morning, Ali. What impact are you seeing from this already? Because it really is throwing people's travel plans, crazy.
Yeah, that's for sure, Errol. I will say, Pearson International Airport here is the busiest airport in Canada, and this morning doesn't look much different. Having a look at the flight boards inside the airport, you don't see a lot of cancellations so far, just a few Air Canada flights that we were sort of anticipating, but we are anticipating, of course, all of that to change drastically pretty soon, because overnight we are hearing from Air Canada that some 300 flight attendants have called in saying that they are not arriving to work today. So that will cause additional cancellations on top of the 500 or so that we are expecting to see today. So about 500 grounded flights here. Another look inside the airport shows some frustrated faces. There are some Air Canada passengers who are in there. Folks who were on these long-haul flights, they were part of the first wave of cancellations yesterday. They went ahead and got their flights rebooked, which Air Canada is doing for customers free of charge. But they weren't making any promises that it's going to be a very direct or convenient route at all, because it's a very busy summertime travel season here, obviously. So getting last-minute flights, less than ideal routes, as you can imagine. So just because they are going ahead and still making their way to their destination, it doesn't mean they're getting there really any sooner or it's any more convenient for them. So frustrated faces inside Pearson Airport, even for the flights that are taking off today.
And Ali, just in our last few moments, U.S. flight attendants aren't typically paid before the airplane doors close. So how typical or unusual is it for Air Canada flight attendants to ask for on-the-ground compensation?
So it's the same thing here in Canada. Generally with the airlines here, flight attendants are paid for the work that they do once the plane is moving. This has been a sticking point between the unions that represent flight attendants and their employers for a very, very long time. They are also
showed up
here
with the signs.
Arguing for wage increases. They say that the wages have not kept up with inflation. You said it in your intro there that the union representing the flight attendants say that some of their flight attendants are in sort of a poverty level, going to food banks, some of them. So that is a big chasm between both sides here as they move to hopefully a deal, but that's not looking likely. It's still very far apart on this. Back to you.
Poverty wages.
Travel weekend for many folks. All right, Ali Chiasson, thank you so much joining us.
Bro, poverty wages is crazy. So apparently, from what I can gather from the video, is that the flight attendants are asking to be paid while the plane is on the ground. So if you guys didn't know and didn't hear from the video, flight attendants don't get paid until that the flight door or the plane's door is closed. And once they're up in the air, they get paid. But when everyone is boarding the plane and putting their luggage away, the flight attendants aren't getting paid. And that's fair. That's fair, bro. That's essentially like if you work an hourly job and you work in retail, right? You go to the back of the store or what have you, you clock in, and you spend like 5 or 10 minutes just like chilling and reading up on the newest promotions or whatever if you're in sales, and you're briefing yourself on what new is coming out so you can better help your customers, right? And then you reach the sales floor and your manager's like, okay, you're on the sales floor, now you get paid. So that little 10 or 15 minutes you spent trying to get ready to better serve your customers, you didn't get paid for that 15 minutes. And over time, that's going to be adding up, right? Especially if you have like a delay, like a delayed boarding, for instance, you're not getting paid for that time. So I could see what they're doing here. And I'm not sure if Canada has like a freedom of assembly like we do here in the US, or freedom of speech rather. So I'm curious to see how they solve this. So apparently the strike is over. They struck a tentative deal, and let's find out how they did it, bro, and what they agreed to.
On this Tuesday morning, we begin with major breaking news. The Air Canada strike is over. And that is according to both the company, Air Canada, and CUPE, the union that represents 10,000 flight attendants. The union released this statement just moments ago saying the strike has ended and a tentative agreement has been reached. CUPE says they're required to advise members to return to work and to fully cooperate with the resumption of operations. It goes on to say the union negotiated from 7 p.m. last night until 4:23 this morning, reaching at that point the tentative agreement, which still has to be ratified by the members. But this effectively puts an end to days of cancellations and disruptions. And Air Canada, as a result, is set to gradually resume service today. So far, more than 500,000 travelers have been affected by the strikes. Hundreds of flights have been canceled. Air Canada, as I mentioned, says it will gradually begin resuming operations as the day goes on after reaching this settlement. So we are awaiting details of the new deal, including the details on those key sticking points, wages and ground pay. And we'll be bringing you more information as we get it throughout the morning. But let's take you right away to Brett Ruskin, who's going to lead off our coverage. He's inside Stanfield International Airport, which is in Halifax. Brett, coming on air with a whole breaking story to tell the country this morning. So let's go through the details we have so far.
Good morning, Heather. How fresh is this news? Let me tell you about a moment that just happened moments ago. I was here collecting the updates and the information that I'm going to tell you about in just a moment, but the Air Canada workers behind me didn't know about this tentative agreement that had been agreed to. I kind of wandered over, and there was a group of Air Canada workers around me hearing the update I'm about to give now, that we have reached a tentative agreement. The union and the company, as you mentioned, they've been working overnight from 7 p.m. until 4:23 a.m. trying to sort out this deal. So this deal has been reached, obviously still needs to be ratified by all of the membership, the 10,000 flight attendants. So folks here...
It looks like, let me see. Sounds like they barely started if wages haven't been talked about. Yeah, they haven't released the details of it yet. So that's what we're hoping, because this could honestly set a precedent for all of the other unions regarding flight attendants worldwide. Reagan's music. So this could set a precedent worldwide. It could have shockwaves throughout the entire airline industry as far as ground pay. That's one of the sticking points, was ground pay, because essentially until you're up in the air, the flight attendants aren't getting paid. And I gave an example of how you can apply that, or if you guys don't understand what that is, how it could play a role into like, listen, let's go on strike. We're not getting paid. We're helping our customers putting their bags up and we're closing. Reagan just fired them all? What? What do you mean Reagan just fired them all? What do you mean? Give me some more context. Give me some more context. Make sure my chats are working. My chats are good? Yeah, my highlight chat. Yeah, what does that mean? And I remember this. Yes, this was the air traffic controllers. The air traffic controllers. Reagan did fire all of the air traffic controllers that didn't want to work. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wow. See, testing my knowledge here. But that's one of the reasons why the U.S. in particular has such a shortage in air traffic controllers, is because back in the 80s, the president at the time, Ronald Reagan, he actually fired all of the air traffic controllers that didn't want to comply with his rules. So now we're still feeling the shockwaves of that firing from the 80s. We're feeling it until this day for more than 40 years. So that's why it could come down to the safety aspect, is because that we have a lack of air traffic controllers as well. And it could be faulty airplanes from Boeing. So good call out. Good call out. That could be a solution. With the guy in office now, you just never know what may happen. But this could set a precedent worldwide for flight attendants to get ground pay. And that's a huge deal, which is such a weird Chad move. I don't support it, but by God, that's one way to do it. Yeah, that's a boss move, especially when the president at the time back in the 80s was a Hollywood actor and they made this guy president. Bad move on Reagan's part, man, because we're feeling it 40 plus years later, and we need air traffic controllers so bad, and it's such a stressful job that people don't even understand. Man, I know a couple, and they're like, yo, I'm stressed out. A lot of them do have alcoholism because the job is so damn stressful. They work crazy hours. They need some type of relief, man. They need more people to come up and help them, bro.
Haven't seen the deal, don't know what's in it, don't know what the details are, don't know what they're voting on yet. But part of that deal is contingent on the unionized workers going back to work and beginning the process of resuming operations. That won't be an immediate thing. It never was going to be an immediate kind of snap your fingers and have all the flights back. We know from management, from the company, that it'll take multiple days, perhaps up to a week, for operations to be fully restored, fully back to where they were pre-labor disruption.
Sheesh.
And so that's going to take certainly some time. So still a matter of, if you do have flights, checking to see if those flights have been canceled. Some relatively good news. I'm looking at a flight board just over here at the Halifax Stanfield Airport. And even before this news came down, there were some flights, some Air Canada flights that were still operating. So certainly good news for those lucky passengers who were still able to fly Air Canada today. And that number of passengers able to fly Air Canada is going to increase in the days ahead as service resumes. So once again, the big news, the strike is over. No more picketing out front here in front of the Halifax Stanfield Airport or any of the airports across the country, with again a tentative agreement reached between the union and the company, Air Canada, with again a ratification vote set to come in likely the days and weeks ahead. Heather.
Brett, thank you very much. Brett Ruskin is going to lead things off from Stanfield in Halifax. Marianne Demain is going to join us as well on coverage of all of that. While Brett was reporting to you live, though, and we would expect this story to roll out gradually through the morning, we do have a statement just in from Air Canada, which I will share with you.
Okay.
We'll go through it in detail on this first go-round, and then, of course, keep coming back to the news as we get advances in it. But Air Canada said it will gradually restart its operations today. It had talked about 4 p.m. this afternoon. We don't have a firm time in this statement, but today, after reaching this mediated agreement through the process overseen by William Kaplan, the mutually agreed to mediator. And they talked about these discussions to get them back to work immediately to allow the airline to resume operations both on Air Canada and Air Canada Rouge flights. The statement from Air Canada's CEO and president: the suspension of our service is extremely difficult for our customers. We deeply regret and apologize for the impact on them of this labor disruption. Our priority now is to get them moving as quickly as possible. So they're going to restart this major carrier, which they call a very complex undertaking. Full restoration, Air Canada says, may require a week or more. So the company is asking for patience. So that's sort of a 7 to 10 day window they're talking about before regular service resumes fully. And then it goes on to give the process, and we'll keep coming back to remind you of this. Again, only customers with confirmed bookings whose flights are shown on the airport listing should go to the airport. Air Canada will offer options to anyone with canceled flights. That's including the possibility of full refund or credit for future travel, and we'll also try to rebook customers on other airlines. That's been the process, with a very limited capacity being a little bit of a limitation. We don't expect a comment from Air Canada. It says in this lengthy statement that it will not comment until the ratification process is complete. So this is all that we're hearing from the company to this point in this statement. Now, what is coming out in terms of media reports, this is the Associated Press. We don't have this anywhere else yet, but we'll look to confirm this. But the Associated Press is saying this: the union says the agreement will guarantee members pay for work performed while planes are on the ground, resolving one of the major issues that drove the strike. So we will be looking into that further. Obviously, the issue of ground pay has been crucial to all of this discussion and dispute. This is the breaking news. The strike over, the resumption of service set to begin later today, but it's going to take 7 to 10 days before fully resuming services at the country's largest carrier.
Bro, they got the ground pay. They got their ground pay just like how they want it, bro. Shout out to the picketing flight attendants for Air Canada. So for my people that have never flown Air Canada, it's the U.S. equivalent to Delta Airlines. So it's one of the it's the largest airline in Canada. So it's the equivalent of Delta Airlines here in the U.S. And I'm so glad that they resolved this, because if they didn't, I actually have a flight with Air Canada coming up in November. So I'm glad they solved this very quickly, because strikes like this have been known to like go on for a very long time. So I'm glad they were able to come to a happy medium, and they still were able to resolve it and get their ground pay. I know how important that is, even if I'm not in the airline industry, but I use an analogy working in retail and in sales, and only getting paid for the time you're on the sales floor, not when you're actually preparing yourself to better serve your customers before you hit the sales floor. So I used that analogy earlier in the story, but hopefully it drives home how important it is to stand up for what you believe in, I guess. And if you think you're being treated unfairly at your workplace, you may have to do a union, man. I don't know. They have a union, so they actually have representatives to take care of this stuff for them. But hey, W for them, for sure. Appreciate. I don't know why the chats aren't showing up on screen, so please excuse me. But yeah, I guess that's it. That's gonna be the last of it, guys. The last story, unless y'all want to hang out for a bit. I'm here. And yeah, we got some people on Twitch watching. We got a few people on YouTube coming in and out. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in live. And yeah. Yeah, Reagan was a wild one for sure. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for today's stories, guys. Thursday, we're going to do, I haven't decided on the topic 100%, but most likely leaning to how a normal person with a regular 9 to 5 can travel at least once a year. Because I get a lot of people that always ask me like, hey, Jay, how do you travel so often when you work a 9 to 5, like a day job, I tell them like, listen, I'm a special case. I do not stop working. I always work. I do real estate on the side. I drive Uber and Lyft. I do YouTube. I have this, of course, my 9 to 5, but I have all of that stuff combined, and that's how I'm able to travel so often. But for my people that may only work 40 hours a week, Thursday's live stream is for you. I'm going to show you step by step on how you can set money aside and you can travel damn near whenever you want. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. I am your host, Jay. The YouTube channel is called Trippin with Jay, but if you're watching on Twitch, Kick, Facebook, Rumble, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow as well if you are on the other platforms. And I'll see you guys on Thursday. So be prepared for some good info, man, and come with some questions if you guys got it. Again, we are live at 5 every Tuesday, Thursday, live at 5 Pacific Standard Time. And on Saturdays, we are live at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time doing live video reactions for other travel YouTubers in the travel space. So if you like all that stuff, man, make sure you're tapped in and look at the description box below on ways to support the channel. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, for the third time, my name is Jay. You've been Trippin with Jay, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.
It's not a game.